Be quiet and say, Just stop it right now. I hate it. She yeah, oh yeah. I happen to know that woman. I happen to know she's a harlot. Rusty. Halle Berry. Raise your voice.
And now, Matt Wright.
How about now?
Oh,
Now there should be sound.
oh, did you not have that part put on?
Yeah, I didn't have that part turned up because we were on hot mics before.
Oh.
So let's start over. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Alex P. Keaton Snitker, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom, taking you through the ins and outs of this week's events to tell you what is happening. And it's been a while. Sorry that I've been gone so long, guys. I've had to do some real soul searching to try to figure out stuff, but we're going to get to that later. Now, no matter where you are watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Twitter, if you're watching this on Facebook, be sure that you hit the like button, comment, and share it. Share it with everybody out there so everybody out there can find out what it is to live freely. Before we get into the show, before Alex and I start talking about whatever's going on in our lives, we have to pay the bills, and that means that it is time for Mudwater. Mudwater is the coffee alternative that is made with masala chai, cacao, mushrooms, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon, and that is it. It has 1/7 of the caffeine as coffee, but will keep you going all day long. And if you think that sounds like it tastes disgusting, well, do I have a treat for you? Alex, would you mind trying this?
Oh, do you actually have some mud water?
I do, yeah, and I made it specially for you.
Oh, so is it warm then?
It is.
Is it served normally warm?
You can do it warm. You can do it cold. I prefer it warm, personally. I added honey just to...
So you added some honey to this?
I added some honey to it.
All right. Okay, so hold on. I've never tried this before.
You had no idea I was doing this.
Yeah, I had no idea you were even going to do this.
Yep.
So I'm going to now officially try the mud water. Hold on. Hold on. That face was just because it was so hot, though. Hold on.
Okay.
That was just a hot face. That
All
was
right.
not a.
Sorry.
That was not a taste face. That was a hot man. That shit's hot.
Yeah, I like it. I like it really hot.
I guess you do. Hold on a second. Now that I'm tasting it a little bit, it doesn't taste that bad.
No,
it's not that bad at all. Hold on. All right, hold on.
It doesn't smell great, but it does not taste as bad as it doesn't taste as bad as people think it's going to.
You know what? I'll tell you what it has. It's very earthy.
It's earthy. Earthy is a good word for it.
That's a word for it. That's a word for it. It's earthy. It's not bad.
No.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
But
you say you put some honey in it?
I did. I threw some honey in it because it has a bitterness to it, but the honey kind of cuts it with the sweet. So I said that it tastes like the bottom of a hobo's foot, and if you can prove to me it doesn't, do it. Joe Hanush said, I was told it tastes bad, false advertising. I never said it tasted bad. I said that it tastes like the bottom of a hobo's foot. And if anybody wants to prove me wrong, please do. But yeah, it has 1/7 of the caffeine, but you actually do get a pretty good energy buzz throughout the day. You can enjoy that throughout the show if you would like.
Yeah, I think it will.
Right.
I think it will. Hold on, let me put this over.
Did you see what the cup says?
This is what sexy libertarian looks like.
Yep.
Oh, it says the same thing on both sides. So no matter which way whether you're left or this
right.
is an ambidextrous sign.
It is. It's an ambidextrous cup.
All right, there you go.
So I've been listening a lot to your show over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
You guys have been killing it. Adrian's been wrong a lot. It's been hilarious. Adrian's been so wrong a lot. I don't remember any specific instances, but I'm going, that's not factually accurate, Adrian.
Yeah.
But he did not take a 2 kilogram crap the other day. It didn't happen. But you guys have been crushing it. So for anybody who doesn't know, Alex has a show called Alex and Adrian's Unattended Baggage that he hosts with Adrian Wiley.
Yep.
And you can find that on whatever podcasting platform you like to listen to. And it is a fantastic show. It comes out every Saturday.
That's right.
Yep. I listen to it on Monday, so I'm never really sure. Comes out every Saturday. And if you are a subscriber to their show, like I am, you get 2 full hours or more.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Normally the second hour goes a little bit longer.
It does. Yeah. It normally goes a little longer.
And there's some things that we talk about in the second hour. There's one thing I brought up in the second hour that I didn't bring up in the first hour on purpose, just because, it was the LP thing.
Oh, yeah.
That I didn't bring up in the first hour just
Right.
because I was very angry.
I get that.
I was very angry. So
I absolutely understand that. I guess we don't need that one up anymore, do we? Almost hit the wrong button. All right. So yes, from 2014 LP governor candidate Adrian Wiley was the candidate for governor for the Libertarian Party in 2014. He got the most amount of votes of any libertarian running for governor in the state of Florida. A record that won't be beat for a very long time. And this man right here was his campaign manager.
Well, I was part of the team.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah.
He was on the team. I didn't like Alex back then, oddly enough. Now I love him.
I can understand why, though. Sometimes I'm not a likable person, obviously. It happens. And you know what? It all depends on the day you catch me.
It's true. It's true. But now, look at us. We do this together.
Yep, now we're sitting so close that we could make out.
We could. We could, but we won't.
All right, so let's get into the news.
Yeah, let's get into the news. So Jimmy Carter is now in hospice care. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I did hear about this actually, dude. And look, he's a very old person.
He's 98.
Yeah, he's an old guy.
He's old.
Who I would argue probably did more past presidency than any other president.
I would agree.
Like he's done a lot. I mean, Habitat for Humanity, that's his deal.
Yep.
And that's everywhere. And look, he focused a lot on, I mean, I guess you could say non-governmental things. Like, it was non-governmental stuff that he was focused on. So I would say, I mean, the thing about it with Jimmy Carter is I don't hate Jimmy Carter. So
no, not like a lot of people who are older than us do. Like my dad, my uncle, like
they hated him, right?
They hated him.
I don't hate him the same way that they do. And in all honesty, I don't hate him at all now. Like he's going to die soon. So I hope that him and his family have a very peaceful time and that he, is able to spend some time with his family and friends before he dies.
Yeah.
I don't have anything bad to say about Jimmy Carter.
I don't either. Like, and from what I understand that under Jimmy Carter, you had outrageous inflation. You had outrageous inflation, which turned into an outrageous recession. And that feels really familiar. People said that he was weak on foreign policy. Feels familiar. Basically, we're living through Jimmy Carter 2.0 right now. And I think that anybody who disliked Jimmy Carter is looking back now thinking, No, Jimmy Carter wasn't that bad because he was at least deregulating. He deregulated a lot. He's responsible for the Department of Education, which I don't like that at all. And if there is a gripe I have with him, it is that. But outside of that, I wish him a peaceful passage here in his final however long he's going to be in hospice.
Well, no, and the other thing is this: if you look at like what we're dealing with as far as presidents go now, that it was a completely different time when Jimmy Carter was there. The power that the presidency has was in many ways different than it is right now. So in some aspects, we're just not in the same. Like Jimmy Carter would be still considered the modern era, but man, there's a whole lot of things that have switched up. Like if you look at the debate between Bush and Reagan
in 1980,
when they talked about immigration, and you see what's going on either side pretty much right now, it ain't even the same ball game. It ain't even the same sport. So like we're not in the same world that we were in. Like this ain't the same world right now. And look, you could argue that like, some problems were caused by Carter. I guess you could say the inflation thing, definitely, the gas crisis, things like that you can lay at his feet. But boy, I mean, would you rather have a Jimmy Carter back than what we got right now at 98?
I would rather.
If you think about it, by the way, so you're only talking about a 20-year difference between this guy dying and Biden now in office.
Yeah, that's true because he's 78, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 78. So yeah, there's only a 20-year difference between Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden.
Like we are being controlled by old people. I'm sick of it though.
Oh, no,
like I'm so sick and tired of these 80-year-olds and 70-something-year-olds being in office.
Like we had a like with Obama and Bush and Clinton, it was trending younger for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was trending younger, not like super young. I think Bush was 42, 44.
I don't remember what his age was, but it was definitely trending younger.
It was trending younger because you had Bush Senior, and he was old. I don't know how old, but he was old. And then Reagan, he was the oldest president ever at the time. Now,
and started losing it in office.
Yes, he was absolutely losing it.
Past couple, after the first term was over and into the second term is when he started losing it.
Right, especially toward the end, and people said that Nancy Reagan was the one that was kind of acting as the de facto president, which you're seeing that now with Jill Biden. People are saying that she is acting as de facto president and just kind of pulling the strings.
Which, I mean, look, could you argue about the Nancy Reagan one? Or it's funny how as much things have changed, they have stayed the same too, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I think they talked the same thing about Eleanor Roosevelt. Or not? What was it? Eleanor? What was the
Eleanor Roosevelt?
FDR? FDR's wife was Eleanor, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They were saying the same thing about her toward the end,
mm-hmm.
when he had the old noodle legs going on, and they didn't want to show him below the waist because they didn't want him to appear weak.
Yeah, and Hillary too. They did the same thing with Hillary and Bill.
Yeah,
it's weird how in one aspect, if it's a strong woman. And this brings us to the next one.
Very well.
But if you have a stronger woman, how sometimes that's frowned upon in these aspects. And don't get me wrong. Look, I think that when you elect one person, you're not electing the wife, or the husband. You're electing that one person.
Right.
Like to give you an instance. So let's do a comparison. Let's say that Kamala Harris, because you've never heard how Kamala Harris's husband is really running the show, right? Like it's just Kamala Harris's. Her husband doesn't have any.
I don't even know his name.
I don't remember it either.
Well, yeah, I've heard it, and if somebody said it, I would know. Oh, yeah, that's Kamala Harris.
I'd have to know the last name though in order to really know.
Right.
But you don't ever hear about him stepping in or doing things like that, right? But when it's the other way around, you hear that happen all the time. So is there blame there, or is it just the opposition attacking? I don't know. I don't know which way you want to look at it.
I don't know. But that brings us kind of to our next topic here. John Fetterman God, I feel bad making fun of him so much right now, but oh well. The Uncle Fester from Pennsylvania. He has been hospitalized for depression. And I believe he checked in on Friday. Now, this was after earlier in the week. Joe Hanush says Kamala Harris's husband was making out with Jill Biden. Yeah, at the State of the Union a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it was just a kiss.
It was, yeah.
There was no tongue. There was no tongue.
It was a little awkward.
Well, I just don't think you do that at a State of the Union address, though. Like, I think it's off. I think it was not. It didn't have class.
Right, I agree with that. But it was weird.
How about she just went down on him right then and there? Have Kamala in the back with like a strap on, fucking, never mind. Okay, I'm totally going down the wrong road with this one. Back to Fetterman.
Paul Pelosi's there with the guy that was there with the hammer. So yeah, Fetterman, he was hospitalized, but he was hospitalized earlier in the week because he was fearing he was having another stroke. And as we all remember, back in the 2022 election last summer, right before he got the nomination, he had a stroke, a massive stroke. They said that it was a life-threatening stroke, and then they did not suspend his campaign. One of the major things that people have to deal with whenever they go through a stroke is depression. That is a massive side effect of having a stroke. It affects like 60-something% of people who have strokes, especially strokes of the size and magnitude that he had. So that is something that he was going to have to deal with. Plus, when you take into account that he had the stroke and then you pushed him out there and you could see that he wasn't really all 100% there. Like he was having trouble during some of he had trouble in the debates. He had trouble in interviews. They're like, no, it's fine. If you say anything bad about this, you are being an ableist for somebody who's going to be in charge of leading our country. You're going to be an ableist. So they pushed him through. And then he got one of the potentially most stressful jobs you can get. I don't know how stressful being a senator is.
I bet you it's pretty fucking stressful.
I think it is. I would imagine it is.
Yeah,
I think it's a mixture of lax.
Yeah, it's definitely not for a person that just had a stroke. That's for sure.
And then, so he goes to D.C. His wife and his kids are still up in Pennsylvania. He's in D.C. by himself doing this job where he's having trouble understanding people because he can't. The auditory responses aren't working quite as quickly as they once were. And he falls into this massive depression after thinking he's having a second stroke. Now, a lot of people get treatment for depression where it's at home or in person where you have to go to a therapist. We all know somebody who's done this, who's gone through it. But he's getting he's staying in the hospital, get treatment for depression, which means that this is a serious case that he's going through.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really serious case that he's going through. And they keep saying he's going to be fine. Now, people in Pennsylvania are questioning this. And they are starting to ask, should we have somebody replace John Fetterman as senator? And many people, going back to what we were saying earlier, are requesting that Giselle, Fetterman's wife, Giselle Fetterman, take his place in the Senate. Now, this is the woman that when he had the stroke said, no, he's fine. He can keep going. Nope, he can keep going. You can't attack him because if you attack him, you're being ableist because he's having trouble with the auditory responses. What if she pushed him to keep running after the stroke, thinking there was a chance she would be able to get the power?
I mean, I think that's what happened. But I mean, I didn't want to interrupt, so I wanted to make sure to kind of let you get through your whole take on this one. First off, I do feel bad for Fetterman. I do feel bad.
I do. I don't like the guy.
However, I will say it this way. I don't really feel bad for him anymore. Like I feel bad in one aspect. I do feel bad, but in another aspect, I would be okay with feeling bad if he were to have not decided at that point not to run. But he did decide not to. He made the decision too. look, if he wanted to quit, he could have quit.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Did his wife push him and things like that? Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, like your medical condition, you shouldn't have done this. You know you're not going to be able to represent the people of that state well. But in their mind, and look, there's a lot of people that are political people that look at it this way. He was willing to do anything, and his wife was willing to do anything to make sure that he won that seat.
Right.
That's what they were willing to do. Now, is that evil?
Yes.
I'd argue, yeah. No, I'd argue that
yes.
it is. I would argue that it is. However, like I'm not happy with his wife either per se, but I'm not as mad at her because ultimately he got to look, he had enough wherewithal to be able to say, I want to continue.
But so I don't have any firsthand knowledge of anybody who's had a stroke.
Okay.
That's not true. I've met like one person, but like I don't have like close knowledge of anybody who's had a stroke. And maybe somebody in the comments can kind of answer this for me because I don't know. But are you, after a stroke, especially a stroke of the magnitude that Fetterman has, do you have the wherewithal, or are you just going based on what people are telling you? That's the only thing. That's where I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't as black and white. Like he didn't say, yeah, I want to keep going. Maybe it was more everybody was telling him, yes, you can continue, you can keep going. And he was like, I can keep going, because he was just kind of repeating back.
No, that's true. No, that could be the case. And I see in the comment section about, look, that definitely could have an ability, something that could impact decisions. Like medical condition can totally impact the ability to make that decision. I do think that that's possible, but that's also when your family should come in to protect you. And that's where I put the blame at,
right.
Where they didn't. They were probably, no, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And maybe in the back, and look, I don't know his wife. Like I've never seen her. I don't know her. I don't know anything about her, but I know enough to know that she was willing to have her husband go through that kind of hell and not have him stay at home in order for him to heal. So in that aspect, you are a bad person.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And what I will say about Giselle is that John outkicked his coverage by a wide margin.
What's that now?
John, he outkicked his coverage by a wide margin. He's punching way out of his weight class.
Well, no, and here's the thing: how bad does Fetterman have to be in order to lose to this guy? I mean, how bad is Oz got to be in order to lose to this guy?
So somebody said earlier, Oz, where is it? I think Scientific Libertarian 2.0. Yeah, but Dr. Oz looks smugger than Trump, which was ominous. And on top of that, people accused him of being a carpetbagger because he had never really lived in Pennsylvania. I think he had a house in Jersey, and then like he bought a house in Pennsylvania to run or something along those lines.
Which he was, though.
Yeah, he absolutely was. Now, the governor and his aides, Fetterman's aides, are saying that he will probably return. But if Fetterman is unable to return, if he can't return, this is a nightmare scenario for the Democrats.
Yeah, because then both seats are going to be up in the 24 election cycle.
Right, because
they get a replacement. They get to name the governor gets to name a replacement.
Shapiro just won the governorship, and he's a lefty, he's a Dem, so he's going to replace him with a Dem.
Well, of course,
whether that's Fetterman's wife or whoever. A lot of people are saying it should be Fetterman's wife in Pennsylvania. They don't get the choice, as somebody pointed out. I think it was Hanush, but they don't get the choice. But if he does replace him, 2 seats will be up in Pennsylvania, both Democrat seats in 2024.
Yep. Well, and that's why they're really wanting to hold on. But isn't that kind of the problem, though? Like, if you're willing to put somebody through what they're going to put this guy through for 6 years, and you're not really able to handle it, but you're going to do it anyway just for the numbers, like that's just a level of cynical is not the right word for it.
Is,
Like sociopath is a better word for it.
Isn't that kind of what they're doing with Biden though?
Yeah. Well, no, they're sociopaths in that aspect.
Right, I
Look
mean-
how many times, like they did it with, but you know what? They did it with Reagan. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
there's other people they've done it to. Like they've done it with other people because they look, and I think Joe put this up here earlier. There was one about, this is why the government shouldn't be so powerful. Or this is the problem with a very powerful government. Oh, right here. Yeah. Wouldn't be a big deal if the government wasn't so powerful. You know what? That's a really, really, really good point, by the way, Joe. That's a great point. Is that this wouldn't be a problem if the government wasn't doing so much and had such an impact on your life. And the fact that it does is a problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's a problem. But again, you're not solving that problem. That problem probably ain't ever going to get solved, but it definitely ain't getting solved today. And it ain't getting solved with this one guy, you know? And look, and you got a lot. Look, when it's that big, what they're doing to Biden is elder abuse. Yeah, probably, but he might deserve it too, though.
I mean, he does.
Like, how the fuck do you show up in Ukraine? Like, how the fuck do you show up in Ukraine right now in a
there.
fucking war zone?
We're gonna get there.
Oh, sorry.
We're getting there.
All right, keep going. We'll keep going. Sorry.
That's later. So yeah, whether or not Fetterman gets replaced or not, I don't think that I think that they're going to Biden him up and like just try to get, you know, a marionette up there to make him dance the Democrat dance for the next.
I think they'll do it in 25. I think they'll do it in 25, so it'll happen in 26.
You think that they'll lose the 2 years?
Well, I think they're only going to be willing to lose 2 years instead of losing 4 years, and it's not both seats up at the same time. It's only one seat up at a time.
Right. That's why. So I figured that they would do it in 2027. Or right after 26. So
yeah, but if you do it in 27, then it doesn't matter. You might as well stay the whole time because then it would be the same election that it would be normally anyway.
Well, you'd still get the 2 years. You'd still get the 2 years, so you'd get the full 6. You'd get the full 6 from a Democrat before it went up for an election.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, if that's what they want to do. I mean, either way, it's look. Either way, it's a sad state of affairs. And in one aspect, I do feel bad for this guy. But in another aspect, I just don't. Though. Like again, you are. If you have a wife that's like that, you need to find a new mate. But again, he's probably look. I'm sure that they're committed like this though. Like it's one of these things where, like, I'll bet you he does want to do it.
I mean, he probably does. Like he probably does, but he probably does want to do it. But at the same time, you don't know if that's the decision he's making or if that's what's. Or if that's what he's being told. Like just the scenario, the entire scenario makes it where you don't know if he has the mental capacity to be able to say, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So speaking of strong female spouses, Doug Emhoff's wife.
You look that up. Yep. I see you.
Kamala Harris took time this week to stop gushing over how much she loves school buses in Munich to state that the U.S. has formally concluded that Russia has committed crimes against humanity during the ongoing war in Ukraine.
Maybe true.
It might be true, but
there's a lot of reports that we've gotten from independent sources that kind of say that.
I'm not saying that they didn't do it. I'm absolutely not saying that they didn't do that, but couldn't the same thing be said about the United States?
Oh yeah, I mean, in that in that aspect, I mean, you could say that, but again, there's a different story. Like Russia was pulling people. Russia is pulling people, or at least when they were getting territory, they were pulling people out of the country and bringing them over to Russia. Right. Like it was just like, I mean, come on, you know, I mean. Again, here's the thing. The way I look at the Ukraine situation is there is no good guys in this one. There is no good guys in this one. But Russia is definitely the aggressor in the situation. There's no getting around that part. So you can't give them a pass when they're the one. Look, it ain't Ukraine crossing over their border. It's the other way around. Russia's going into Ukraine. They may think they have some justification, but they're still the ones that are crossing over the border, and they're the ones that are, like Ukraine's defending their turf. Again, I may not like it. I may not like how they're doing it. I may not like, I may not like any of it, but like these guys are defending their turf. Ultimately, Russia's the bad guy here, or the worst guy. I shouldn't say bad guy.
I was going to say, I wouldn't say the bad guy, but I would say the worst of the two.
Hey, look, Putin's just got to make it to July 1st, man. Yeah. Just make it to July 1st, man. It's all I need at this point is for Putin to get all the way to July 1st, because I got a dollar bet on this one. Silver dollar bet.
Silver dollar. So Joe Biden, as we all know, spent President's Day with his favorite president, Vladimir Zelensky.
Yes.
Decided to go over to America's 51st state and hang out with that guy. And so after he finished checking in on Hunter's investments, making sure that everything over there is going smoothly, because he gets 10%, he decided to give a speech in front of the Ukrainian people in Kyiv. Now, before we get into that, there's a lot of the press is going out there today and yesterday talking about how brave this was and how amazing this was. And I even saw Dave, I'm sorry that I'm going to call you out on this one. Presidents go into war zones all the time. And that's true. Presidents do go into war zones all the time. Usually it's ones that you are fighting in. And people are talking about how brave this is, but literally almost every Western nation's leader has gone to Ukraine already. This is not anything new. Like, people have been doing this the entire time. Many senators have gone over there. Congress people have gone over there. Biden's like the last in a long line of people to go over there. And I wish I had the audio on this, but people are talking about how brave it was and how amazing it was. And he comes out and the air raid sirens are going and they look up, and it kind of gives you that tense feeling that they are in a dangerous situation. But the CNN news anchor, when this is going on, literally says, I haven't heard any missile strikes here in weeks. I haven't heard an air raid siren in weeks. They did it for a publicity stunt. They set off the air raid sirens for a publicity stunt to make him appear like he is stronger than he is as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, look, this was all done for optics. But this is one of the most dangerous things that you could do for optics. Now, and to the point, presidents go into war zones all the time. You're right. But what Matt said is absolutely true. That ain't our war zone. Congress has made no declaration of war in this. Look, they've been giving Ukraine all the money and all the weapons and all that kind of stuff. That's true. They've done all those things. And I guess, should we go back? Should we go over there and look at our investment? I mean, I guess. But like, what if Russia, I mean, and somebody else said something here, Biden brave, they let Russia know he was coming. They did tell Russia, like, it was a secret, but not to Russia. Yep. Russia knew. Now, did they tell Russia to try to say, like, I dare you to do something to Biden and cause World War III? Maybe, but it's a dangerous situation to put the president in. Any president, I don't care if it's Biden or Trump or Obama or Bush or any of them. You're opening yourself up for something really bad to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. So when Biden was there, he gave his speech, and the soundbite that everybody hears, I did, just so you know, I did not do like the notes that I normally do with all the video stuff. So you just get to hear me read stuff today. But 1 year later, Kyiv stands and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands. The Americans stand with you. And the world stands with you. Now, yes, 1 year later, Kyiv stands, Ukraine stands, democracy. I don't really understand how Ukrainian democracy works, so maybe, possibly. And
there's been mixed reports at best.
Right.
To say it politely, it's been mixed reports. But do you make those decisions during a war?
Right. Yeah, fair. And the Americans stand with you, and the world stands with you. Now, granted, right now, roughly 53% of America supports the funding of the Ukraine war. About 53. So a coin flip essentially supports the funding of the Ukraine war. That's not America standing with you.
No.
The world stands with you. We're going to get into China a little bit later, but they are part of the world and they aren't standing with Ukraine. He also announced that they are going to be sending another $500 million in assistance from the U.S., but did not promise any new advanced weaponry. However, Lindsey Graham, everybody's favorite South Carolina.
Magnolia Thunder Pussy.
What's that from? That was his screen name, or that was his
No, that's the name we made up for him.
Oh, is that the name you made up for?
Yeah, no, that's a trademark. Magnolia Thunder Pussy.
Okay.
Lindsey Graham.
I legitimately thought that was like his Secret Service call handle.
Oh shit, no. Magnolia Thunder Pussy is our nickname for Lindsey Graham.
But he said that the U.S. is going to start training Ukrainian fighter pilots.
Because we're about to bring them
we're going to give them the jets.
Yeah, we're going to give them the jets.
We're going to give them.
We were always going to give them the jets.
We just have to look like we're not involved in the war, but then you show up on their soil.
I don't know how Russia does it. I mean, we're totally involved in this war, and we've said it as much. Like we actually, at this point, they should just declare war. Now, hold on. Finish your point, though. I want to get back to this though, and this right here. Yeah.
So,
first off, BDSM Guru, which hey, that's kind of cool. It's a good screen name.
It is. I love BDSM. That guy's great.
Yeah. So if some of the Ukrainians want to be Russians, why not let them be? Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, I hear you. Move to Russia.
Right.
Like, okay, look, first off, if you want to go down the road of anarchists, all sovereign territories suck, and that you don't want, you don't want countries to exist at all.
Of any kind.
First off, I hear you, but also then your point doesn't make any sense because Russia would be a country.
Right.
So you can't argue the anarchist part here. You have to argue the statist part here because of the way that you framed the question. Again, I don't know what your ideological background is for BDSM Guru other than, look, you like a little bondage. Nothing wrong with that. And you're good at it. Obviously, if you're a guru, you're good at it. Yeah, obviously. So, but if you're taking it from, there is a country called Ukraine and there is a country called Russia. If those people want to be Russian, then they should just move to Russia. Now, is there enough of them that they don't have to move to Russia? This is where the kind of the votes get into play where, like there was this in Crimea when the Russians came in, that there was an overwhelming amount of support for them. I mean, that might be true. It might be, but do you trust the Russian government? Look, I don't trust the American government. Do you think I'm going to trust the Russian government? Like, I'm not going to trust either one of them.
Yeah, it's a weird scenario that we're in right now. And I've talked about this on the show before and multiple times. But the American government says something, the Russian government says something, the Ukrainian government says something, the Chinese government says something. And I look at all of them and I go, I don't trust any of these people. I don't believe any. Like, I'm at a point where I don't believe anything any of the government say. And it's trying to figure out what is true in the politicized bullshit that they are all spewing, and it's like trying to find the one nugget of truth that they are all telling in the same statement.
Yeah.
What is it? Die Hard 3? What was the name of that one? Die Hard. That wasn't Live Free or Die Hard. What was that one?
Do this one. Do this one now.
It isn't an anarchist thought. The Donbass region doesn't want to be part of Ukraine. Right. Okay. So the Donbass region doesn't want to be part of Ukraine, but Ukraine still has that property. Like, the Donbass region should be the ones revolting. Russia shouldn't be coming in and invading. Donbass should just be like, no, I'm out.
Well, look, here's the thing. And this is where, again, there's no good guys in this scenario. If they voted and said, we're going to go to Russia instead, should Ukraine allow them to do that? And to be honest with you, I mean, again, without looking at the geography of it, because I'm not looking at the geography of the Donbass right now.
It's on the eastern side, up next to Russia.
Yeah, so it's close.
Yeah. It's like Crimea, then Donbass, then Bucharest or whatever.
Yeah, and hold on, and put this one up too. God, I'll tell you what, guys, in the comment section, you guys really are. I'm just glad people are listening. It goes back to the USSR when Russia took over. They sent Russians to all the satellite nations to breed with them to make Russians. That's part of Putin's stance on protecting. You know what, man? Look, again, that's a long-term thing. It's like what the Chinese are doing with the
Uyghurs.
The Uyghurs, yeah. That's what they're doing the same thing with the Uyghurs. Man, communism is fucking evil.
It is.
Jesus Christ, all this is so evil. Man, government's evil. It's a bad situation, nonetheless.
Yeah. Overall, it is a terrible situation. But the reason Joe Biden went there wasn't because he was trying to show support for Ukraine. They were saying that this was planned for months. This was not planned for months. This wasn't. He had a terrible couple of weeks, and he needed something to make him look like he is a powerful president. So they set this up. He went over there on President's Day to make a show of it. They did the air raid siren to make it look like, oh, look, he's so strong and brave, even though nobody, according to CNN, has been firing over there, and they haven't had the air raid siren in weeks. But as soon as Biden was there, they had it. All of this was for show.
Yeah, total optics.
Because of the train derailment in Ohio, because of the Chinese spy balloon, because of them shooting down literally everything else in the sky after the Chinese spy balloon, he is looking like he's weak and playing from behind, and they needed something. So they said, hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to say that we planned it for months, but we're going to let Russia know before we get there. That is what happened.
Which, look, at the same time, if you want to avoid a bad situation, letting the other guys know that you're going over there is probably not the best, not a bad way to do it. But you shouldn't be going over there to begin with.
Right. You shouldn't be going over.
So,
now,
hang on.
Okay.
Do we want to wrap? Oh, you still have another point to make? I want to do this one at the end. At the end of this segment.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're at the end of that segment.
Okay. So play that. Put that one up there.
So BDSM Guru says, I don't trust any of them either. The people don't want to be part of the country they live in. I feel that I should support the majority, which is ethnic Russian.
It's a good point.
It is.
You know what? That's just a good point.
It is. That is a good point.
I hope that your whipping is as good as your points when it comes to your BDSM. You know, or maybe you're a handcuff guy or a girl. Again, I don't know. And again, BDSM Guru is not guy or girl. You could be a dominatrix for all I know.
What? That's absolutely fair. I've always assumed it was a guy. I don't know why.
You know, honestly, it would be super duper hot if it was actually a woman.
It would, yeah.
Lie to me.
I think it's only because I've seen the stats on the show, so I know where our
audience the odds are.
Yeah,
the odds are it's a man.
It's pretty strong odds it's a guy. So
as strong as that freaking cat of nine tails.
So Russian military pundits are criticizing Putin for the weak performance in Ukraine and have stated that this was after Biden going to Ukraine and giving a speech in Kyiv was tantamount to demonstrative humiliation of Russia. Demonstrative. That's a better word. Demonstrative humiliation of Russia. They even stated that with as soft as Putin has been during this war, Biden could have visited the front lines and escaped unharmed.
Ooh, that's a burn. That's a burn. I wish you had a burn clip where you can be burn. Wow, that's a burn. Wow, shit. Hold on. Somebody in Russia said that on Russian TV?
The former Federal Security Service officer and Russian army vet Igor Girkin wrote, wouldn't be surprised if the grandfather, which is what he calls Biden, if the grandfather, he's not good for anything but simple provocations anyway, is brought to Bakhmut as well, and nothing will happen to him.
Well, I mean, Putin's not an idiot. Listen, if you were to attack, if Russia were to attack any of the NATO nations right now, oh, nice. Yeah. Nice to know. Yeah. So if Russia were to attack any of the NATO nations, Russia is no longer a country in like 30 days after that. Like we would wipe the fucking map with them.
But
NATO would kill them.
Yes, NATO would kill them, but you've got China on the other side. Do you think a war with China and Russia would go as easily?
No, not if China was included. But honestly, at this point, if Russia demonstratively struck first, then China wouldn't be able to get involved. I don't think
that's
not quickly enough, because it would. I'm sure they got plans right now that are just like they're just waiting for Russia to make a decision.
We're going to get there in a second. So after the Russian military pundits said what they said, Alexei Danilov, I practiced all of these names yesterday for like 20 minutes. And
that's commitment, man. That's fucking commitment, by the way.
Alexei Danilov, Kiev's National Security and Defense Council boss, called Putin Hitler's twin. Hitler's twin. He also stated that Ukraine would get justice for those who have been killed since Putin invaded a year ago, stating, our tanks will be on Red Square and that will be justice. And personally, when I first read that, I thought he meant US and German tanks.
Yeah. You guys don't own tanks.
It's either Russian tanks, because they're all Russian tanks, German tanks, or US tanks right now.
Yeah.
And if you're trying not to escalate the situation, if you're trying to tone it back a little bit, saying our tanks are going to be in Red Square, not the way to do that.
Yeah. I mean, look, look, they got to end this fucking war, man. But like the road that we're going down right now is
World War
III. And you know, I look, they always say this: if there's World War III, if World War III is going to be decided by nukes, then World War IV is going to be decided by bricks and bats. I think it's the way to say it. I forget the exact way it is, but basically nuclear annihilation is going to cause, like, you think we got problems now. We got no problems after millions of Americans are dead. Like, don't get me wrong. Look, we've been exporting wars where all these people die in all these other countries for a very, very long time. This is the war that's going to come here. Because here's the thing, and they can't invade this country. If you can't invade, then you're just going to lob nukes over, and that's what they're going to do. So we're going to blow up the world.
So I personally think that first you're going to have cyber attacks and electric attacks and try to like shut down the electric grids.
Yeah.
One of the things that Russia is talking about is hitting electrical grids that power nuclear facilities inside Ukraine, which would cause them to have to shut down. Also, Russia said, Putin said yesterday that they are withdrawing or suspending the SMART treaty.
Yeah.
So that means that they are no longer agreeing to not having a certain amount of armaments or nuclear weapons. Doesn't mean they're going to use them. Could be posturing. We don't really know right now. But that is where they are. And then you have the Defense Council boss who called Putin Hitler's twin, saying our tanks will be on Red Square and that will be justice. Things are ramping up. Things are absolutely ramping up. I'm not willing to say we're going to hit World War III, but I wish I wrote this down, but I was reading a article in the Washington Times earlier today, and some military experts were saying that this war isn't going to be over by, this is 2023, April of 2024. They said that it could go on for multiple years or even decades.
Oh, that sucks.
And
I just need him to make it to July. That's all I need. Just make it to July, man.
Just make it to July. And Donald Trump, please don't get arrested.
Yes, not till, well, he can get arrested January 2nd.
Yeah, you just need to make it through.
Just make it through 2023. I need Putin to July. I need Trump all the way to January 2024.
Yes, because
it's 2023 now.
So to make matters worse, other than Russia pulling out of the SMART treaty, on Sunday, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Nod.
I hate his name. I hate his name.
First time I heard
Lincoln, like I hate it so pisses me off.
First time I heard it was Anthony Blinken. I went Anthony Blinken and Nod, and I was just like, well, that's going to be his name.
It's stuck.
Yeah. Said that China is considering providing weapons and funding to Russia. He stated that if they give support or assistance to Russia, there would be consequences, which, of course, this being America, means sanctions.
Mm-hmm.
And how often do sanctions work, Alex?
I'll take never for 100 hours.
And that's absolutely good. Sanctions don't work. Sanctions end up not hurting the people you want to hurt. It hurts the people that they are in control of.
Yes.
Sanctions only hurt the people at the bottom of that food chain. And that is what they will end up doing to China with a bunch of people who at the bottom of the food chain are already hurting. China will still continue to get all of the money from trades and through trades and everything else that they ship out to send over to Russia, and they will continue to manufacture weapons that they will send to Russia, and the people at the bottom rung of Chinese society will feel the effects of the sanctions that the U.S. gives them.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
My voice got a little dry on that one.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, it's a bad scenario, and we're
terrible.
And then we're not going to, and it's not going to get any better. Like, God, I hate to say it that way, but it's just.
And then, of course, Zelensky, President Zelensky. Did you know you knew he was a comedian?
Yeah, he was an actor. Well, actor too.
Yeah, he was like a comedian. He was like a Robin Williams kind of type over there. He is not funny.
No, not anymore. He lost that sense of humor. He
wasn't funny then. I watched some of his stuff and I was like, this guy's not funny.
Yeah, no,
he played the piano.
Now, look, I just have again, there's no good guys in this scenario, and I don't like Ukraine, and I don't like Zelensky, and I don't like any of it, but
Yeah, and Zelensky is saying that if China supports Russia, the world will be in World War III.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't care. His country is in shambles right now, and it is in shambles because of Russia and their attacks on his country. And at this point, he's like, burn it all down then at this point, because like, if it's his shit's getting fucked up, then what does it matter?
BDSM Guru says China has a housing surplus. The U.S. can't say that. That's because they've been killing off everybody.
Well, they built a whole bunch of stuff that nobody was living in.
Well, they also killed off everybody before, they were born. So
that's true.
No, that's a good point. There's nobody to move into these places.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The one-child policy kind of predicted that would happen at some point.
But they're smarter than everybody else. That's why they got to be in charge.
And if we end up going to World War III, Alex and I are in trouble.
Why? Why is that?
Because of where we live.
Oh yeah, no, we're fucked.
Yeah,
we're fucked. We're fucked.
Yeah.
No. We live in MacDill. I mean, we live near Tampa.
Right.
Tampa's got MacDill Air Force Base. That's CENTCOM, Central Command. They're gonna nuke that motherfucker. They're gonna nuke that motherfucker quick. Now, the only thing is, I live in Newport Richey. You live in Pinellas County.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to instantly die, which actually doesn't make things better. It makes things worse.
Yeah, I was going to say that's worse.
But you're probably going to survive the initial blast. You're just going to start growing a third arm.
And then die. Joe Hanoush, who also lives in Florida, he might be okay. He's close. He's on the bubble.
Where does Joe live? I thought Joe lived in Jacksonville.
Well, he lives in Jacksonville County, but I don't know where.
In Duval County?
Well, he lives in Jacksonville County, but I don't know where in Jacksonville County. But I do know that I saw his signs in Mount Dora, which is like
well, hold on a second. He said, well, folks in Daytona will be okay. Actually, I think Daytona will be all right.
Yeah, Daytona will probably be okay.
Yeah. They're not going to, they're not bombing NASCAR.
Brian, I don't know how to say your last name, man. I'm sorry. Says teach yourself to play the piano with the third arm.
Hold on, let me see. Hang on. Live in Volusia now, though. Okay. Oftendal. Brian, did I say it right? Oftendal?
No N. Oftedal.
Oh, Oftedal.
Brian Oftedal.
Okay. I'm sorry, Brian. I want to try to get it right at least, though. Would be dick move. No N.
No N. So
don't
right
bomb
now,
NASCAR.
We are actually in one of the most tense times in the history.
I'd argue the Cuban Missile Crisis time was probably a little bit more tense.
Okay, that's fair. We are in the most tense times in my lifetime.
That's true.
Yeah. We are in the most tense times in my lifetime. And honestly, I'm going into this. And I don't know how you're going into this, Alex, so I won't speak for you. But I'm going into this the same way that I went into the Obama presidency and then went to the Trump presidency and to the Biden presidency. I'm going to try to find the humor in all of it until I can't find it anymore. And once I hit the point where I can't find it anymore, that's when I'm going to actually worry. That's how I'm looking at this. not telling you that's what you should do. That's my coping mechanism. So if you want to ride that train with me, try to find the humor in everything and don't try to stress out about whether or not nukes are going to go off tomorrow. I don't think they will. I could be wrong.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily even disagree. I think it should be ridiculed and ignored at this point. Not ignored, but like ridiculed and like not to not talk about it, because like obviously you do a show, you want to talk about it. Satirize is probably a good word for it, or just to be like, just to kind of to point it out, like of like there's some podcasts I listen to. One of them is The Hill Rising. Yeah. Have you ever heard of this one?
Yeah.
There's a guy that's on there. There's a libertarian, Robbie Suave, I love Robbie Suave. I like Robbie. My only bitch about Robbie is at certain times in the show, dude should simply just point it out and say, this is exactly why I'm a libertarian. Like, it's stuff like this. It's the problems that are right here as to exactly why I am a libertarian. And should we buy gold and silver? Yeah, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. And seeds. I'll go with the seeds too.
Bullets and seeds, yeah.
Oh, so bullets and seeds. Yeah, I definitely go with all that. Yeah. But the point I want to make though is it's amazing that more people are going away from being a libertarian instead of going towards being a libertarian. That part is I can't understand how you don't see everything going on right now and think, well, we just need to end all this. Like, the government is the problem at the end of the day. Instinctively, it's like people know it, but then they don't know it at the same time. Like, there is this weird kind of manic schizophrenia going on right now. And I wish it wasn't the case, but it is. Like, it's like doing the show. Like, one week I look up and we're like, hey, people are starting to get it. Then the next week we look and we're like, oh, no, they're totally not getting it. Like, at any rate, though, to ridicule it, like in the beginning of the show that for the podcast I do with Adrian, it's like save the Republic or stock up on marshmallows. Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, stocking up on marshmallow is really the only one we got left.
Technically, what it says is stock up on marshmallows to roast on the burning embers of society.
Smoldering embers of society.
Oh God, I miss Ledge.
I do miss Ledge. I talked about him today. We talked about him today.
Yeah.
You know, he died in Danielle's arms.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. Ledge was a local here in the Tampa area. He was a local radio legend, and he was a great, great guy. And
he got kicked off 98 Rock for doing Red Pill Radio.
He did. Yeah.
And that was a long time ago, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, he passed away a couple of years ago. And every time I hear his voice on their show, I get a warm feeling.
Ultimately passed away from addiction.
Was it really? I didn't know that.
Well, it was not to get too into it, but he just wouldn't stop drinking.
I thought it was cancer.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I never asked.
End up had a cut, didn't get it cleaned, went sepsis, it went bad, and he was just because he was always going behind the shed in order to go drink. And he was going to A for a while. Things were going really well. He got that job over in Orlando. Yeah. Things were going really good. Then he lost that job for whatever reason. And I don't know. They said they were going a new direction or things like that. He came back over to Tampa or came back over to our house and stayed with us. And when he came back, though, I think he just felt so defeated. I think he gave up. And there was nothing I could say. And to be honest with you, what I wanted him to do was to do a podcast himself, because he had Dangerous Conversations. It was a great show. He would do like a Rogan-esque podcast. Yeah. It would be a Rogan-esque one. And he was doing that before Rogan was kind of doing it, really. Like, I think he would have done so well with it. Look, one of my failures. Oh, hang on. Give me a second. One of my failures in life was to not be able to convince him to keep living. And you know what, man?
All right. I understand where I 100% understand where you're coming from, and that is the hardest thing. There have been multiple people that since I talk about my addiction issues all the time on the show, but since I have gotten clean, people have reached out to me, and I've been able to help some. And I love getting I got an update from somebody today. I won't say who because I don't want to like blast them out like that, but many of the people in here are probably friends with them. But they reached 6 months, and it was a hard 6 months, but I was like, hey, I'm proud of you. You're killing it. I know it's tough still, but you're killing it. But there are others that reach out to me, and I give them whatever help that I can, and it's not enough. And I understand how difficult that can be. There have been a few that have shook me to the core on how difficult that is. So I absolutely get it.
Yeah, no. Look right now. And again, we didn't talk about this in the show or anything like that, but we can talk about it at the end, I guess, is that, look, I'm dealing with it myself when it comes to cigarettes, is that I got Legionnaire's pneumonia a bunch of years back, like 2018. I almost died. One of the reasons I got Legionnaire's pneumonia, though, was because I was smoking, because me and Danielle were in the same place where that pneumonia was. I got it. She didn't. And I spent a week in the hospital and almost died. After that, I actually quit smoking for a long time, for several years. For whatever reason, stress. Again, there's not an excuse for it. But I started smoking again. I didn't tell Danielle. As a matter of fact, I actively hid it from her. And today, this morning, the cat was out of the bag and she found out. And she is so extremely angry with me that it's not even funny. And
for anybody who doesn't know, Danielle is his wife.
One of them.
One of his wives.
And like, I understand why she's upset at the end of the day. I don't want to dismiss that, because I do understand why she's upset at the end of the day. Again, to have Ledge die in your arms, to have me in a hospital for a week with the nurses and doctors saying that it's possible that I'm not going to make it, and with them saying, look, if he keeps doing this, he's going to die. Knowing that it's harder to manage your blood sugar levels, because I was pre-diabetic. It's harder to manage your blood sugar levels when it comes to that. And I know I put on more weight now because of the smoking. Not, like stopping would help with that. And like, I know all that stuff, and it still doesn't change it doesn't change that. And quit for several years, you might as well hang it up. You made it through the hard part. You're right, but now I got to start over.
Right, but now it's no, yeah.
But now I'm starting over again.
That's the difficult. Like, I've quit smoking numerous times, and I had quit for like 5 years, and then I started vaping.
Mm-hmm.
And I started vaping when I quit drinking, because my body needed something. It needed some habit. And so I picked up vaping, and it has been the most difficult thing to kick.
Yeah.
It is so hard.
And I lied about it. Look, and at the end of the day, I did lie. Look, a lie of omission is still a lie. Look, I'm surprised it took her this long to finally catch, but it's been a rough day. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a rough. It not only has it been a rough day, man, it's been a rough couple months anyway, but like, it's just been rough, man. So again, I kind of waited till the end before we talked about this, but it kind of made sense at this point to at least bring it up. So I was already emotional enough with the Ledge thing. And again, looking at that as a personal failure, that you couldn't convince somebody to do the right thing, even when you saw the potential in them.
But yeah, I mean, you can't blame yourself. You can't blame yourself for that. I've multiple times I've wanted to blame myself for things like that, and you can't, because
no, you're right.
In the end, it is their decisions. And as much as you want to say, man, I could have done more, at a certain point, you can't. No,
you're not wrong. Nope, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You can only look at the end of the day. You got to want to look at the end of the day. You got to want to live. Last time I quit smoking, the pressure of third grade got to me, and I started again. Vaping makes me smoke more. There's no end to a vape. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. So let's look ahead to the future. Let's keep talking about the past real quick, though. So you guys have probably noticed there have been some changes here at Muddied Waters. Spike is no longer a co-host. He was really busy with You Are the Power, and he just couldn't show up anymore. So we parted ways. And, you know, I've had to try to figure out ways to make Muddied Waters of Freedom work and what to do with Muddied Waters Media. And then recently, Jason Lyon, Mr. America, decided that he was going to no longer do his show. He said there's no ill will, and he just wanted to kind of back away and not have, you know, not do it anymore. Which I wish them both luck in everything that they do. You know, Jason was at my wedding. Spike was my best man. I love them both very much. They're brothers to me, and I look forward to seeing whatever it is that they do in the future. But that being said, Muddy Waters has gone under a ton of changes recently, and we've got a couple of announcements. To make. So this is going to be the last live show for a while, but that does not mean you're not going to get shows. Instead, what we are going to do as Muddied Waters Media is Monday through Thursday, every morning, you are going to get a 15 to 20-minute episode of Muddied Waters of Freedom. It may change names to like Morning Mud, something like that. I don't know yet. Still kind of playing with some stuff, but there will be a brand new episode every morning that you will be able to listen to on your favorite podcasting platform, or if you have Spotify, you will be able to watch it. So that's going to happen Monday through Thursday. And then if you are a subscriber, you will get a full episode, a normal sized Muddied Waters of Freedom full episode where I will be able to be everything that you are used to seeing me as for a full hour or more. Every Friday morning it will come out, and we will have normal shows like this one, shows by myself, interviews with different people. A lot of you'll be able to get all of that by becoming a subscriber at anchor.fm/muddywater/subscribe. And I don't know how often is this going to happen? The Midnight Rider.
I'm still working on that, but it'll at least be monthly.
Okay. So at least once a month, you are going to get an episode of Alex's show, Midnight Rider, that I will be co-hosting with him. Where he will tell stories.
Just Uber stories. Just Uber driver stories.
Not going to be I'm certain I'll get political at points, but because that's who we are as people. But it's going to be the funny and touching stories that he deals with. We are going to be doing that. There's going to be a lot more Muddied Waters coming. I'm still working on a couple of deals with some people. For exclusive videos, for exclusive content, and we are still going to move ahead, and we are going to be bigger and better, and everything is going to. I'm not going to say that everything's going to change because it's not, because I'm going to be here, but it is going to be a fantastic new experience. I had to take a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And years ago, when this started, 6 years ago, my co-host at the time, he wanted to do live. I didn't want to do live. I wanted to record stuff and then put it out, and then that's it. And he convinced me to go live. We ended up going live, and we became more of a live show. I wanted to produce shows that are engaging and fun. And the best way that I know how to do that is to give you information in morning drive to work segments. So that way you can hear the news and be ready for your day. And hopefully I get a chance to make you laugh when you first wake up. And then if you are a subscriber, you're going to get a full episode of this guy and whoever I have with me. And you're also everybody, not just subscribers, is going to get Midnight Rider at least once a month with me and Alex.
Yeah. No, it'll be a good time.
And we still got movies coming out sometime. I don't know when. but they're going to be coming out. We got shorts coming out. We got a lot of stuff that's coming. Don't worry. A lot of great stuff is happening. Thank you all for being a part of this. The title of this episode is The End of the Beginning, and that's because after taking some time to think, this is the end of the beginning of Muddied Waters. There's still a lot of Muddied Waters left to go, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of this.
Nice. That's a good way to close out, brother.
Thanks. So I'm taking off the rest of February because you have no idea how much I have been working on Muddy Waters for the last 6 years, and I've enjoyed the break. But starting the first full week of starting the first full week of March, because I think March starts on a Wednesday. So the first full week of March, you're going to get episodes every single morning of me giving you the news, and then a full episode for subscribers on Friday. Thank you all for being a part of this for the last 6.5 years, or 6.25. Thank you all for being a part of this. You have no idea how much I love each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you, Claire Underwood. I read your comment wrong. Thank you all so much. I can't wait to see where this goes. I hope that all of you come along on this journey, and be sure when these episodes start coming out, please like them, please share them, please do whatever you can do to get them out there. Thank you all. And remember, where we're going,
there are no roads.
We don't need roads.
Oh, we don't need them either.